Hello, and welcome to Fic Fiction, a magical bookish podcast for chaotic story goblins like us. We are diving back into the Throne of Glass series today with a full episode discussing Crown of Midnight, including the iconic twist that defined the series. As always, we are your hosts, Crimson,
Molly,
and Emmy.
Hey guys.
Good afternoon.
It is daytime.
I know, I was gonna say, look at us meeting in the daytime.
Who are we? Because this never happens, right?
No.
The sun is shining.
I know, my windows are open. It's beautiful outside. I mean,
it's so sunny here. Like, we've got our window open as well, and there's a bunch of people playing football in the field behind our house, and I'm really hoping that it's not going to pick up on this mic.
Meanwhile, I can literally hear the honking outside.
I literally just heard I was like, that'll be Crimson.
Yeah.
It'll be totally fine, because I'm gonna extract, whenever I edit anyway, I extract our audio only. As like our vocals only, so it gets rid of like all the background noise. 90%, like a lot of people won't know this if they listen to us, but like 90% of the audio that happens in the background is just like ambulances, police, and cars from where Crimson is, because she's in Paris, and it just makes up like a lot of backgrounds.
You guys are really lucky that we almost never film while the trash truck is here, because we would literally have to pause. Like, I can't hear anything happen, and there would be no way to, like, we have to pause whatever movie we're watching for like 10 minutes while trash happens, because when they come down my street, it's just so freaking loud. But yeah,
I don't think it's an episode of the pod without the Ninors happening in the background.
At some point, yeah. There's always some sort of some sort of emergency going on in Paris at all times, really, isn't there?
Yeah, pretty much. And the thing it's interesting in Paris is that all the emergency vehicles sound the same. So who knows if it's police or ambulance or fire truck? Like, you just can't really tell unless it's a transplant vehicle. Those sound different. So if you ever hear one that's just like minute, 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 that one is someone's getting a transplant.
Wow.
So.
We do sound effects too.
Yeah. Wow. Who says we're a one-trick pony?
Yeah. I am full of multitudes, guys.
Molly sings occasionally on the podcast. If you listen to any of our Twilight episodes, you'll recognize some music going on in there.
We do all the sound effects.
Well, we did see each other just a couple days ago, but what are we reading the past few days?
I can.
Okay, that one you might leave in. Just to go.
It was so reiterate the point.
So assertive.
That was so on brand for what we've just said.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so I finished last night, actually. I finished Binding 13.
Yay!
What was I saying? Yeah. If anyone
What were you doing? What were you reading? We read?
What's a book?
What's reading?
What day is it?
I think it's Thursday. No.
It's always Thursday.
Or Monday. Those are the only 2 days that we know about.
Or Tuesday, which is also called Second Monday.
Yeah, that's just a Monday. That's not a whole day.
I can't deal. What was I talking about?
Binding 13.
Yeah, so I finished Binding 13 yesterday, and if anyone was listening, or if you guys will remember, a pod ago or 2 pods ago, I said that anytime I buy a new book, I am putting it into like a pile, and I'm gonna do like this massive book unboxing once I either reach like 50 or 60, or it gets to my birthday in September. And I said to myself, I'm only going to focus on things that are on my TBR, on my bookshelf that I haven't read yet, so that I can do almost like a read it or on holiday of everything that I have. And then there'll be space for all of these things to go. So I have this massive like massive bag, and it's got like 3 Fairy Loot parcels, like 6 Amazon packages. It's got like books that I've been to the bookstore and like purchased, but I can't read them. Well, I went to the works to get Keeping 13, and I also got, is it Saving 6? Is that the third one?
Yeah.
And I've broken my rule a little bit because I've told myself I can read Keeping 13 now, but
Mhm.
I'm not allowed to touch Saving 6 or any of those, the rest of the books, until I do the unhaul and the
Okay.
book unboxing thing. The reason being
Okay.
is like it ended on such a cliffhanger. I need like both. I feel like it's in like a part 1 and part 2, and I can't
Mhm.
do that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
keeping 13 is going to emotionally destroy you. I was crying, like sobbing. But keeping 13 also ends on a cliffhanger. So
I just also would like to point out that the goalpost for this project has moved like
yeah.
a couple times in that sentence, because you definitely did not mention last time that there was a limit to how many books. Like you just said your
So
birthday, and now you're like,
okay,
oh, what if it's 50 or 60 books? And now you're like breaking your own
yeah.
rules even after moving the
So
goalpost.
I'm in like 2 minds about it, because when I initially created the challenge,
Mm-hmm.
I said it was going to be when I reach, each time I reach 50 books in the pile, then I can do a book unboxing, because I feel like no one's going to watch a book unboxing of more than like 50 books in one go. I feel like that's like a limit. So, and then I was
You
like, oh,
made
but
that up.
how fun would it be to just do like a massive one? So my idea is like I could maybe film the book unboxing every 50 books, because I'm going to get so many packages of pre-orders. Like I don't know what's in each box. So
Mm-hmm.
I could like take 50 books, unbox them, and then put them back in the bag, and I'm not allowed to actually read them until my birthday, maybe.
Mm.
So they don't go on my shelf until my birthday, and I don't read them till my birthday.
But what's the point of
And
that?
then to see how much space I can get before I'm 27 on my bookshelf.
Mhm.
Because I
Mhm.
How
can't
much
put things
space
on
you
until
can
I've
get?
got space. I've got no space on my bookshelf, so I'm doing a read it or unhaul it challenge. And if I read a book and it's not at least a 4-star read, it's going.
Okay. I just, you know what? I'm gonna not comment on this amount of
Mm.
Delulu until we get closer.
Yeah, yeah. I got a
I
new
believe in you. I
bookshelf
love you
this
so
week,
much.
so I'm
I mean, it's
not
going
feeling
really
that
well.
it's gonna be
I mean, do you know what though? It's going really, really well, because I started this challenge at the end of January. I have not read, other than Onyx Storm, since Onyx Storm came out, I have not read a single new release.
All I know is that at the beginning of the year, we were both like, let's do a book buying ban. The only reason I've succeeded in my book buying ban is that I haven't been reading. And then you came home one day and were like, here's 20 books I bought or something.
Yeah, it was
So,
quite literally a week after we said that, and she's like,
and
I
like,
got all these books.
and so what I'm saying is you're saying like, oh, but I can't read them and that'll make more space on my shelf. And I'm not understanding how this creates space, because you're still buying even as you're reading other books.
Okay, so it's not
So
creating like new space, it's creating the space for the books that I've bought. If
She's
that makes
just
sense.
she's
yeah.
reading them to get rid of books,
But
to then
okay, but
So
replace
when
those
I
books with new books.
but
yeah.
it's read it or unhaul it, right? So like
Yeah,
actually if you read it, you won't unhaul it. So
not all of
not
them.
reading the books is not gonna magically make
So
you
I
unhaul the other
so
books.
it's a shame, right?
Oh,
Because I wish that
oops.
every time. I wish that my bookshelves were bigger, because
Of course.
Girl, same.
we just, I mean, when I move into our own house in like a couple of years' time, I'm gonna have like a full bedroom that I could do floor to ceiling Beauty and the Beast style
Yeah.
bookshelves, rolling ladder, full room vibes. And I can't do that in here. I've got 3 bookshelves, and they're not even Billy bookshelves, so they're not that tall.
Okay.
And my
Mhm.
issue is that I have so many books on this bookshelf that I am never gonna read again, or they're books I've bought when I've been in like a phase and then
Mhm.
Yeah.
have not touched since. and I've made the decision that also it's also stemming from the fact that I've now got a Fairyloot subscription because I want to be able to display all of the nice edges and like actually have it look nice. So my idea is that for I think it's like 96 books I've currently got on my bookshelf that I haven't read yet, if any of the books are either A, not part of a series I'm still reading, or B, a book that's over 4 stars that I want to keep and will read again. Once I read them, they're going. But the idea is I want to see how long it's actually going to take me to get through the books that I've already got before I actually start reading ones that I'm buying from this year.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So we're going to be shopping Emmy's bookshelves when we go up in
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, I'll keep them, and you guys can take
Excellent.
some books back with you.
Okay.
Anyway,
I have no more questions.
So what have you been reading this week?
Yeah, Crimson, what have you been up to?
I have actually been reading S.J. Taylor's books. I got a few chapters into the first one the other day, and then a few more chapters yesterday. So, yeah, I'm actually reading books. It's not Iron Flame. Sorry.
Shock.
Do you remember Crimson that meme that will have been posted on our socials a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. She's still just a book, and she'll still be there when I'm ready for her.
Yeah.
Fine.
I love
Besides,
that.
I can't even display her right now because I've got to get the new dust jacket. So,
True.
you know, she's
Yeah, not only
Really,
is
it's just a
she
service.
not only is she abandoned, she's also damaged.
Okay, she's
Aren't we
abandoned.
all?
You've taken her clothes off and left her for dead.
I have not left her for dead. She goes with me on the metro and she sits on my desk at work every day, and people see her and find out she exists and ask me about her. And so I'm actually like evangelizing her to the masses.
They must be like, this book must suck because she's been reading this for a long ass time.
No, these are the type of people who read like one book a year.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
There are people like that.
Oh my god, there are people who don't read at all, babe.
Whoa.
I can't. I was saying this to my mum and my sister last night on FaceTime because my sister's, she's never been a reader, but she read, fuck, I can't even remember. She read something recently, and then now she's reading like, is it Ariadne?
Arietti?
That's the Ghibli movie.
Yeah,
no.
it sounded like you were saying Arietti.
It's a book and it's Greek mythology.
Ariadne?
Ariadne, yeah,
Ah.
I think.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
So
know
she's
that
reading
as a
that.
book, but it's a person.
Ariadne,
there's a-
Jennifer Saint.
Nice.
There we are.
Oh
She's
my
reading
God.
that, but she's also been reading that since like Christmas.
So I cannot tell you how many people tell me they are reading, or they're reading an incredible book that I work with, and then it turns out it's literally a book about business and making software, and I mean, nonfiction is so much more wildly popular than you could imagine. It's just
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
I would like to read.
Someone told me they were doing this on vacation, mind you.
What?
Literally came back from vacation.
Oh, wrong.
And I was like, how's your vacation? And they were like, oh, it's amazing. And I'm coming back all fired up because I read this book and I got so many great ideas about it. And it's a nonfiction book.
Look, if you're not reading a smutty romance on holiday, what are you doing?
Are you even on holiday? I know. It's crazy. Different people live
What's
in
wrong
different
with you?
strange ways.
Very strange.
Not that we're shaming or anything.
I'm shaming. I am judging.
Unless my coworkers are listening, in which case I am, of course, not shaming.
I'm judging. I don't know you.
Molly's got all the judgment for the three of
Yeah,
us.
it's all good.
I am also judging, to be fair.
I also work with a lot of men, so
that explains a lot.
It does.
But sometimes it is a woman and she'll be like, oh, I love reading. And then I'm like, oh, cool. Like, what are you into? And I'm expecting a wide range of things. And it's usually actually like, oh, I'm reading this book about feminism and breaking down. So like really important books that are also like, yeah, but that was not what I was asking about. So Molly, what have you been reading this week?
So I finished The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness. Excellent. Very good series. I read the entirety of Deep End yesterday.
Yeah, you
The
smashed
whole
that
thing.
yesterday.
I ate it. It was
Wow.
great. Love it. I think it's my second favorite, maybe, because I always forget about Bride. But I think it's my second
Bride's so good.
favorite. Ali Hazelwood. The Love Hypothesis will always be my first favorite, like top tier. But my babies were in it, so Adam and Olive were actually in Deep End, so I was just like having the best time. And then I have about 80 pages left in Air of Fire, so
I still
very
haven't
much so
started that.
enjoying. Which is amazing because we're supposed to start Queen of Shadows tomorrow.
At this point, like, I'm just going by when the film dates are.
Love that for you.
I will catch up at some point.
You will.
Mm.
You'll be able to like speed through it. It'll be excellent.
You have so much faith in me.
Well, I think actually that you brought that up is a great jumping point because we have got to start talking about Crown of Midnight.
That's why we're here.
That is why we're
Is
here.
it?
It's why we're here.
Is it? So, in case anyone listening has not read Crown of Midnight, this episode will contain heavy spoilers for
Yeah.
Crown of Midnight. So be
Mhm.
prepared. And if you want to go in blind, you should leave and catch our next one because that's why we intersperse these in all of the other episodes so that you're not just like stuck not listening for a long time. But for anyone who doesn't care to read the series or has already read the series but maybe needs a refresher, Molly, could you let us know a little bit about what Crown of Midnight is about?
It would be a pleasure. Okay, so Crown of Midnight obviously follows Selena Sardothian, and she is just trying to do her goddamn job. Okay, or is she? What is she? So, following the tournament to become the King's champion, Selena Sardothian is just trying to survive and fly under the King's radar. But things are never that straightforward, particularly when you are, you know, the most notorious assassin in all of the kingdoms. And as she is being given names of men to kill by the king, who is convinced that these men are plotting a coup against the throne, she is helping these people to escape to freedom and using the various body parts of the recently deceased and personal items from the king's targets to convince him that she is doing her job and she is the best employee, like employee of the month type of status. That is until she is given the name of somebody from her previous life as an assassin. So before she went to Endovia, named Archer Flynn. And it turns out that Archer Flynn is part of the rebel movement who are trying and failing quite spectacularly to track down Aelin Ashriver Galathinius, heir and rightful queen of Terrason. So she is having to figure out, okay, can I get the information about this rebel movement, not to give it to the king, but to ensure that they are not doing anything sus that could put her and, you know, countless others in danger. Meanwhile, Selena has decided that Kale is like so cute, and even though he is basic as hell and has quite literally the most arsehole coded male character possible, he has the personality of, you know, wet cardboard, and she just thinks he's wonderful. So she is trying to work through her feelings while also not wanting to upset Dorian and ensuring that the king isn't actually successful in his endeavors to kill innocent people. And that is the gist of what is going on in this book. And now we will talk about some of the more spoilery, behind the scenes kind of content for the rest of the book. So that is my very brief summary.
I love your summaries.
Thank you.
I also, I've said this to you guys in the group chat a few times. Crown of Midnight is like the only book in the series that I can never remember what the fuck happens.
Hmm.
Like, this book is a fever dream, and no matter how many times I read it, I just don't.
So that's really interesting to me because it's actually one of the books that I remember like in a fair amount of detail because it's the first time we really see Selena like at the top of her game and just like being an incredible badass with like
Mm-hmm.
the stakes are all her and they're all things that she cares about,
Mhm.
people she cares about. And so like that scene of her like rushing to the warehouse and just like taking people out as she goes and like the flips and the violence, it just really stuck with me, especially I think because I didn't read Assassin's Blade first. Because even though I hate Assassin's Blade, I will say that the action in it is good. But yeah, like the action in this one really sticks out to me. But I will say, yeah, the plot is not exactly plotting most of the time.
No. So I think
No.
you're definitely right. I mean, in terms of that midpoint in the book, it's where it really picks up. It's where, you know, everything is happening. So Kale, for some reason, I hate the man, thinks that pursuing Selena means that he's betraying king and country, and most importantly, Dorian. Like, dude, just kiss him already if you're that obsessed with him. And
they are like the buddies. They are like I mean, he's he's spent the entirety of the last book being like, Dorian, you can't have her. You can't have her. It's bad for you. And then he's like, but I'm gonna have her.
Yeah.
Also, you're my best friend, and I would never betray you or hurt you, but also I'm shagging your girlfriend.
Yeah.
At this point in the story, when he's just kind of mid and he's not really like I was never impressed with Kale, but I did not initially hate Kale. Like until like midpoint of this book, I was like, yeah, he's a guy. He's got brown hair. He's hot, whatever. But like at this point, I actually got equally mad at Selena because at the end of book 1, Selena's like, Dorian, I can't be with you because you're a king and you're gonna be a king and you have all these other things, and like obviously that makes a lot more sense later, but in the context it's like, okay, wait, you can't date a prince but you can date the captain of the guard, and that's not a conflict of interest when you're also working for the king. Like, this is bullshit. Like, this doesn't
I
make any sense.
think what irritated me the most is that she loses her virginity to Kale when it could have been Dorian. Like,
Oh
what
my
are you
God.
doing?
What do you mean you kissed Dorian for hours and didn't go below the belt, but
Nah,
then
fam.
you just fuck Kale immediately within like a
No.
week? Like, what?
So, you know, despite the numerous red flags that this bloke is throwing up, Selena still digs him, and this is despite him being about as interesting as Soggy Weetabix. And he's kidnapped, so, you know, he's kidnapped by the alien Ashriver Galathinius fan club, effectively. And she goes berserk and becomes his like knight in shining armor. Meanwhile, he would like not be doing that for her, because
he would spend so much time trying to figure out how to get to her.
Yeah. And like he spends so much time battling with himself, be like, but she's an assassin and she's doing these horrible things and like she's a bad guy and I'm the traffic cop of the kit of like the kingdom, and I need to make sure that the king is like safe and Doran is safe, and but she's so cool and edgy, like she's so pretty,
and her vagina speaks to me.
Exactly.
Like,
this is just like his thought process.
But also, Selena, you're Black Ops. Why are you dating a city cop? What is wrong with you?
Literally.
Oh, like, I can't. Anyway,
his dick must be big, right?
Nah.
Canonically, he's good in bed. It is canonically true that they both say he's good in bed.
Yeah,
but they know what they're talking about, but
she hasn't had much experience, though. She hasn't had any experience.
And neither had Irene.
So anything is going to be impressive at that point.
Yeah.
Like anything.
God. I can't.
It's like,
Kale.
it actually consistently makes me think of how I know you guys both like these books, but it consistently makes me think of when the cowboy books got popular and all of these like men in cowboy hats and shirtless and whatever were all over my TikTok. Ugh. Because like literally everybody's like, oh, cowboys are so hot. And I'm like, man, if you could meet a real cowboy though, like you would not be impressed. And so it's like the same thing. Like I'm like, girl, you fell for it.
The man.
He's just a guy. And I mean, up until, you know, that point where she's running off to go save him, the book is mostly just like building up in terms of like politics. So she's trying to get information from Archer Flynn, who is a courtesan.
Does
and
his
we
name
learn,
have an L in it?
I think so.
I'm convinced. Have I? Because I've been calling him Archer Finn this whole time.
It could be Archer Finn, but I saw it as Archer Flynn.
Hold on, I'm googling it.
Google it.
I literally forgot this man's name was Archer. So
me too. So when I was like, when I started the book, I was like, oh,
it's Archer Finn.
It's Archer Finn. Okay, cool.
Crown of Midnight does suffer from one of the same things that that Throne of Glass suffers from, which is 90% of the people you hang out with in this book don't matter. Ultimately. No. They're not important.
No wonder we don't know what his name is.
No. Because he's never mentioned again. It's like he's a guy and then
he's hot in there.
He's important for the duration of this book in that he fucks shit up, but after that he holds no relevance to the series.
Yeah. Do we ever see him again after this book? We
so.
do
no.
Do we come across him?
We can't.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can't, babe.
Why?
Because he dies.
Does he? In this book?
Yes, at the end of this book.
That's the entire thing that causes her to like go off the rails. And that's when Kale gets really mean. Because
he sees her lose her shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In the
He's just a guy. Yes, exactly.
The tunnels.
It's
right, yeah.
Negative of how it wasn't all planned as well as people kind of think it was sometimes, because like Archer Flynn's character is quite clearly sort of like replaced by a combination of other characters later that serve the exact same purpose, most specifically Lysandra. But yeah, like for sure
she just needed a girl best friend.
She did need a girl best friend.
Due to the fact that the girl best friend of this book wasn't really best friend on this shit.
Well, so what leads
I think we should start with this is with Nehemia.
We obviously know that Kale gets kidnapped by the AAG fan club, and she is there talking to Archer and the other blokes that are involved in the fan club, and she's like, you guys need to skedaddle the fuck out of here because the king is on your toes. And Archer's like, BT dubs. By the way, your dreamboat over there knows that Nehemia's life is at risk and is doing sweet fuck all about it. Might wanna go sort that out.
Might wanna dump your man.
So she like books it back to the castle.
Yeah. Only to find that, of course, it's too late.
Yeah. So she is slaughtered. It's like, I think that's the best. It's brutally slaughtered along with all of her guards.
Yes.
The first time I read that scene, I was almost like horrified at the way that it's like described when she's like, there are just limbs everywhere.
Yeah.
I will say, I think with the exception of the scene in, I think, chapter 5 of House of Earth and Blood, I think that the Throne of Glass series has some of the most graphic violence that we've ever seen out of Sarah J. Maas, which is so interesting to me because it's the YA series. But absolutely, that scene is incredibly graphic, and there are several others that are like crazy, like almost traumatizingly graphic.
Because we see Selena walk into Nehemiah's suite, into her bedroom,
Yeah.
and the guards are just like, "What's going on?" Like the king's guards, like, "What's going on?" And it's all happened under their noses, and we see Selena witness what's happened to her friend, but we also get flashbacks to when her parents were murdered.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like the first
Which
instance
is
where
also just like
brutal, horrifically
absolutely.
brutal.
Just so much.
And it's the first time we really hear what kind of happened. Not that we get a lot of information in this book specifically, but we do see her like connecting the similarities between how graphic her friend's
Yeah.
death is with her parents.
But there's a couple things to point out here, which I think are really interesting. The first is, of course, everybody who is a Kale stan will say, "Oh, you only hate him because of Nehemiah," which is really interesting because I never hated him for that moment. Like, it's awful, his involvement, and he clearly made the wrong choice. But it's very obvious in the writing that like he didn't understand quite what he was doing.
Yeah.
By doing nothing. It's very much what happens later, which we'll talk about in a second, that
Yeah.
really solidified me on my hate for him. But the other thing is like, while it was absolutely devastating to read, and I really could feel for Selena in those moments, can we just be honest that Nehemiah was not a good friend?
She was a really bad friend because
She lived for the drama.
she did, and she went as far. She knew the whole time what Selena was keeping secret, and
Yeah.
she went as far as calling her a coward for wanting to
But also
protect
never,
herself.
yes, and also never offered her the support of the knowledge that she knew. Like, never,
Yeah.
because it would be one thing to be like, you're a coward for how you're behaving, but she didn't give her the not like, she didn't say like, I know exactly who you are and you're running away from who you are. She said like, she was very vague and cryptic the whole time.
Yeah.
Was never fully honest with her. Was secretly meeting with a ghost.
I think
Yeah.
one of the biggest issues is that like this goose chase that Nehemia and Ghosty led her on through these two books was just so unneeded, because
Yeah.
obviously Selena is at the start was very like self-preservation. However, like, you know, as she gets to know Dorian and Kale, like she comes around, she thinks, so she's thinking about the bigger picture. And
Yeah.
I just do not believe that, you know, Nehemia orchestrating this whole thing where Selena finds her and there's this, that's going to be her turning. Maybe if you just gave her the answers and gave her the whole picture in the first place, like she would have come around without you having to like be
Yeah.
murdered.
Well, and Elena, they continue to do this for multiple books after this. Like, she still doesn't get answers really in this book. She finds out that she's like been betrayed, but she doesn't like get any kind of closure. It's no wonder that she ends up in the state that she's in when we see her at the beginning of Air Fire, because how could you go through all of that? Like, you would just feel like everything is so pointless and like you don't have the tools to do what you need, even though you've spent your entire life being honed into a weapon that should be able to handle
I
it.
think one of the craziest things I always think about these books is, you know, people are obviously keeping things from her from the start. You've got like Kale keeping certain things from her. Dorian, he's kind of his own ball game, I guess, but Nehemia. And then later on in the books, whenever she does things that she believes are right and keeps them from other people until they come to fruition, she gets shit for it. So everyone else can be hidden and dishonest and leave breadcrumbs, but she can't. And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's interesting you mentioned Dorian. So that instance where she is in Nehemiah's bedroom and Kale arrives and his guard arrives and Dorian arrives because she bumps into Dorian on the way to Nehemiah's room, is the first instance where people actually see Dorian embrace his inner Elsa, shall we say. and he
lets it go.
He freezes
Iceman.
Selena in a Frozone Incredibles style move while she's
Yes.
attacking Kale. Rightfully so.
Yeah,
Rightfully
yeah.
so.
He should have let her take like one eyeball. Just
100%. Yeah, definitely. So Crown of Midnight is kind of where Dorian is starting to like freak out. Well, I say starting to freak. He's freaking out about the fact that he has magic when really he shouldn't, because magic isn't. We don't have magic here. Exactly. See? They agree. We don't have magic here. And
Yeah.
Kale is like, holy shit, Dorian has magic. What the fuck do I do? Oh, wait, let's throw Selena in the dungeons with Caltech.
Yeah.
We can sort that shit out
Okay.
later. It's fine. Lock her up.
Yeah.
And
Which also, I think that's a moment that gets forgotten about a lot, but that moment in the dungeons with Keltane, like, really actually hits me, like, very hard. Because I really hated Keltane, like, I did. And then the second we see her in those dungeons, I was like, oh, but I didn't want your punishment to be like that.
yeah.
She was just doing mean girl stuff. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean she needs to be like a lamb out for slaughter, you know? Like
It's where you start to see that she is actually a victim of her own her circumstances.
Yeah.
Like, she was raised, obviously, because she's a woman, she was raised to marry a lord and have children and elevate their family's position, and she went about it in a really shit way, and she ended up with Duke Parrington and thought that she could rely on Duke Parrington, only to end up
manipulate him.
only to end up in the dungeons, being held hostage and effectively being the pawn in his game.
Yeah.
For it only to get worse later. Yeah, but she also, yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic between the two of them, and it really is like a moment in the book where you really start to see like the depth of the evil that you're going to encounter, because I think, like, even though before this we get glimpses into what Endovir was like and things like that, I don't think that that is something that for most readers is going to be relatable enough to like really hit them.
Yeah.
But then something like seeing Caltane, who really, like, her only crime was being a shitty teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see that she's clearly been mistreated so badly that she's scared that all these things are like happening to her, is, I think, a moment where it really makes the story like hit in like how dark this world actually is. And I think that's an interesting thing, because the way we like look at Throne of Glass and we see the art and stuff, it looks actually very like light and like fantastical in this pretty way, but like that's not really how the world is at all. It's like actually a very kind of gritty experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Back to Mr. Frozen Hands.
Yeah. Let's talk about Mr. Frozen Hands, because what's interesting is, like, in that moment, I was really like rooting. Like, I was like, yes, stop her from doing that. We'll be so mad because Gale needs an opportunity to understand what he did wrong. And then, like, he starts to, and then when he finds out that Selena has not been doing her job, and then when he also sees what she's truly capable of, he has a freaking meltdown, and it's just like, I could not with that man. I was like,
It's back to, oh no, she's killed people. The assassin has killed people. It's like part 2.
Like, no,
but also
nonsense.
Like, I could have dealt with that, like, in the beginning when it's like he's a naive guy, he's been purposefully kind of ignoring what's going on, but he's already been confronted with what happened to Nehemia, right? Like,
and he also knows what her job is. And like, if he thinks, obviously we get the whole like reveal that she trusts him enough to be like, hey, I haven't actually been killing all those people, and Kale's like, what the fuck, bitch. But also, like, he has seen her do it,
yeah,
and then it's almost like he has this like second epiphany. But I'm like, But what do you think she's actually, before you knew the truth, you thought she was doing this to the king's enemies. So,
Yeah.
like,
And that was
what
okay.
about this is a surprise?
That's
Like,
in the parameter of his rules, though. Like, that's the thing that I think people don't understand when I say, like, Hill's just a cop, because they think that I just mean, like, his job, but it's not his job. It's this mindset of, like, not thinking beyond the set of parameters your life have been given. Because, like, for him, it's like, even though he's seen Nehemiah's brutal murder, which is obviously horrific, and that he classifies as a murder in his mind because he knows that there's no, like, legal parameters for this.
yeah.
Seeing Selena do the same thing, even though she has a very justified reason to do so, it's very within the confines of who she is and what she's done before. It's not sanctioned by the government, so it's not okay. But meanwhile, he's been ignoring for years that people are literally being tortured at the king's hand.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating because we see a lot of people say, you know, things along the line of, oh, if you don't like Kale, you can't like Nesta, or, you know, he was just doing his job, or I relate to him because XYZ. And I'm just like, those perspectives, or that perspective is really shit. Because Kale doesn't.
Is Kale was just doing his job. I don't want to be friends with you because I don't want to be friends with people who are just doing their job and aren't thinking beyond their job. Like,
exactly. Like, Kale doesn't think for himself.
No.
He doesn't
it's
have
his rule book.
He has no sense of, you know, personhood, I suppose. He's just his job. He can't think for himself. He doesn't come up with his own opinions, his own sense of morality. You know, the general idea of what's right or wrong, it's, this is who I work for, this is what they want me to think, so that's what I'm going along with it. Like, think for yourself.
If these rules have been made for me, then they must be good rules and right rules, and I must follow them. I must never stop for 5 minutes to use my own brain cells to question whether these rules are right.
And think of the larger effect as well. So think of, like, the implications.
But then Tower of Dawn happens, like, without spoiling anything. For me, it's like, that kind of doesn't matter. It shouldn't really take 6 books for him to figure that out. Like, and it's too late for me at that point.
And it's not just that, it's so this big thing that
same.
The only reason that he actually starts using that thing between his ears is because something happened to him and he feels sad about it.
Right, he's forced to confront it for his own trauma. Like, and I get that, and I get that that's real and that happens to people, but it doesn't mean that I have to like that character in a book.
Exactly. And, like, is it really going to take something happening to you to realize that there are shitty things going on in the world, and that the ideal of what you thought you were fighting for isn't actually a reality? Like, is that the only thing that's going to force you to face it?
Shouldn't for most people, but then I'm looking at, literally, like, not to get too political, but I'm looking at what's going on in the United States right now, and I'm thinking, like, actually, I think a lot of those people probably identify with Kale, because
it's 100% political.
It would be like, imagine if Crimson was like, God forbid, thank God we don't live in this universe. Imagine Crimson was like an avid Trump supporter, right? And she was like, it's never going to affect, like, the rule is God, like, Trump is amazing. And she only realizes that it's a problem in 4 years' time when Trump's issues have impacted her as an individual.
So many people like that's what I'm saying. Like,
what is wrong with you?
I know so many people who, like, literally just don't. They're like, nope, the words he said made sense to me, so they must be true. He's gonna make things better. And, like, still to this day, like, it's only when, like, something truly affects them that they go, oh, wait. And, like, there are so many people who are, like, really angry because, like, their neighbors are getting, you know, picked up by ICE or whatever. And they're like, oh, but I didn't think he was going to get that intense about it. Like, I thought it was just going to be people who committed crimes. And it's like, okay, well, you didn't listen.
Put those words in his mouth, because that's not what he said.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because people are like, well, he has his redemption arc. Okay, like, great, he sees the light, but that's not going to make me like him. Like, oh, if you can't just forget everything that was said. Exactly.
Like, breaking your legs doesn't mean that your brain cells have more capacity to think about other things. Like, you've had the brain cells to do this stuff prior. I'm sorry that, like, it's taken you
And
6 books and like 1,000 shitty actions.
It doesn't matter to me. Like, it's like, okay, I get that he was young and he was naive, and I get that he was picked to do his job based on the fact that he was young. Like, I understand all of those things. It doesn't, like, it can make me have an understanding of why he is the way it is. It doesn't necessarily make me excuse it. It still doesn't make it. I am of a firm belief that I knew at age whatever he is, like 22, like the difference between right and wrong, whether people get tortured and just look the other way. Like, we're not talking about somebody who like looked the other way while their friend stole a lip gloss or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, come on. Like, come on.
Multiple genocides are going on and he's just like not blinking an eye.
Not blinking an eye. And also, you know, that would be one thing if it was that just like matter of survival. But then to see someone like Selena who's clearly trying to do something about it, and to judge her for not following whatever his moral standard is, it's like, okay, just because you don't want to get your hands dirty doesn't mean that you're so much better than her just because she's not going about it the right way.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because even Dorian sees. So Dorian he's the prince, he's the king's son, and he can see, look, what's going on is fucked up. And the way that you're treating Selena for literally just trying to survive and wanting to, you know, make a difference, to protect people, to make sure that, you know, what's going on is shown to be wrong. He's like, you can't judge her for that. Like, what's going on with you in your head that you can't see that what's going on is wrong.
Yeah, and I have seen people be like, oh, but how can you judge Kale but not Dorian? They did the same thing. And to me, it's like, no, it's not the same thing because, like, Dorian knew he felt powerless and knew that it was wrong and definitely, like, deserved some flack for not doing anything. But also, he never claimed to know what to do and he also never judged other people who were trying to do something.
That, and he knows, because this book is when Holland comes back. So Holland obviously being his little brother, and he knows that Holland is basically just his father's like mini-me. He knows that if Holland was heir, that this would never stop.
By the way, that's another thing that I was wanting to come up later and be important was Holland, and like such a nothing burger. Like, if you're reading along in the series and you're like, what's going to happen with Holland? Nothing. Literally nothing.
It's quite funny because in my head earlier, I was like, who is Holland? Who can I compare Holland to? And I was just like, oh my God, it's Baron Trump, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So now all I can imagine is Holland when he's packing to come home. It's like, where is my suitcase?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh
I think, to be fair, I think that segues quite well into the carnival.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
It is. It's, I imagine it kind of like, obviously it's a carnival, but I imagine it as like kind of like a medieval kind of like fair, like Ren Fair vibes.
Yeah, that's like in like, you've got like the wagons, right? Like the wooden wagon things. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I don't know about you guys, but I definitely pictured Baba Yellowlegs caravan much like a traveler caravan. Like, I definitely got like traveler vibes from them. But for anyone who is listening and wants to know what's going on and hasn't read Crown of Midnight or forgets, there's a witch at the carnival. Just not just a witch, the matron of one of the major witch clans. Just
she
casually
shows
there
up for the shits and giggles.
Can I just say the introduction of the witches in this series, like, I end up, of course, loving them because there's a certain character who I end up loving. But, like, at this point in the series, we don't have a lot of magic going on, but we know it's out there. We know it exists. And then suddenly they're like, and we know that there's fae, but we don't really know much about them. We know that people can shift, but we don't know anything really about magic except for like the word marks. And then they're like,
And Dorian.
by the way,
Witch.
here's a witch. Like, and you're
Yeah.
like, excuse me. And then she seems to have crazy powers beyond anything we ever see. Any of the
Yeah.
other witches.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really interesting little slice of moment that makes me go
Yeah.
like, I wonder how
What the
much she
fuck?
could have planned at this point in the series, because this feels so random, like in the context.
I just find it hilarious that that Baba Yellowlegs is basically like the citizen's advice for magic. So like Dorian is like, I'm really struggling. Like there's this power that I have and I don't know what to do about it. Let's go talk about it with the matron of the witch clan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and the King's Guard are walking about and your brother's walking about. Sure, go talk to the witch in the caravan.
Next appointment, please.
Yeah. And also,
must
they're
take
all being
bookings.
spied on going into and out of the witch's caravan, it turns out. And it's very like, it's like watching a heist movie where like they detail all the plans of the heist or something. And one of them is gathering intel, and then it doesn't go as expected because there was a mole, and you find out they've been watching your every move. Like, it's very like, what do you mean? There's all this like high grade intelligence in this world without electricity. Like, okay.
There is no sneaking or beaking going on. No one is being particularly like covert. It's just like let's casually walk into the
In the
caravan.
middle of the day, just like walks up to her.
Dorian is like, my dad hates magic so much. I have magic and I'm trying to hide it. Kind of badly. And also, maybe I will just midday in my normal clothes walk into a witch's tent.
And then he bumps into Kale on the way out and Roland, and you're just like, oh, whoops.
Teehee, you've caught me.
His cousin, who is very clearly, something's going on there, is an issue, is like, I was just looking around the carnival.
To be honest, I think that most of the plot of this series would not happen if like anybody could read a room.
Yeah.
If they could catch a vibe, then like
there's a lot of chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
The brain cells weren't with it. There's something in the air. Like, they're all just ridiculous.
Because
also, am I remembering right that the inside of the witch's wagon is like weirdly bigger?
It's like TARDIS in there with mirrors.
Yeah.
Which we don't.
And it turns out witches are not supposed to actually have any magic.
No.
Except for flying.
Whoops.
So.
Because then we see Selena do the exact same thing that Dorian did.
Yep. the blind in it.
She's supposed to be sneaky.
Yeah, and all I can imagine is everybody else outside in the carnival watching as the caravan is like going like this the entire time,
like shaking about.
So she goes to the matron to speak with her to get help deciphering the riddle that she finds left in the word marks. And it turns out that in order to figure out and resolve everything, she needs to find 3 word keys that unlock the word gates. And after this, they have a brawl. Like, she full on brawls with this old woman that is hundreds and hundreds of years old.
Baba Yellowlegs is like, I've given you your answers, but also now I want a snack.
Yeah.
She starts burning her oven to put Selena in the cooking. Like,
time for barbecue.
Like, no, bitch.
Yeah, a thing that often gets ignored in this series is that the witches are straight up like Hansel and Gretel witches.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They eat people.
They will eat you and you're young. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly men, though, so it's really interesting that she chose Selena. Like, why
Well,
not
I
Gloria?
feel like, I mean, it gets hinted, a lot of people hint in this book at, like, what we'll speak about at the end of this podcast.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people know.
Mhm.
They're like, you've got something in your veins that, like, is more. And, like, a lot of people, like Nehemia and Baba Yellowlegs, and it's like, it seems to be the King of Ardalan, his family, and your enemies that don't have a clue. But
Not a
every
clue.
other
Everyone
magical
else
Tom,
knows.
Dick, and fucking Harry is well aware of who you are and what you're up to and what you're not doing.
But I also
don't
kind of
know if-
like that they like universally keep it on the DL. Like we
Yeah.
know, but we're not gonna say anything because you're like one of us, homegirl.
But I'm also not sure how much Bobby Yellowlegs like really knows, or if she just
I feel like she just
senses that she's
sense.
Fae.
Yeah,
I
she
don't think she
senses that
knows.
she's like magical
Different.
and
Yeah.
powerful and
Yeah.
different, and yeah.
Yeah, I think she just senses that Fae half. I don't think that she realizes like who she is, and I also don't know that the witches would care at that
No.
time. Like once we find out what we know later.
They need her anyway.
So they end up having like a full-on WWE SmackDown in this caravan full of mirrors, and they're like breaking glass. Things are like getting like properly fucked up. Like chains are
Mhm.
involved, and you're telling me no one heard a thing.
No one.
No one.
noticed.
No one noticed.
Nobody.
Must
Not
be some
one
good
thing.
soundproofing on this caravan.
Right? So she kills the witch.
Yeah.
Not
Rip.
she kills the witch, disposes of the witch, and we find out like later in the book and like in book 2 or book 3, they're like, oh, by the way, the matron of the Yellowlegs clan is dead. We don't know what
And we're
happened,
thinking,
but
oh, this can't come back to bite you in the ass at all.
By the way,
Not
it's
at all.
never really explained why the matron of one of the only 3 clans, like the most important person in the clan, who like the other clans, those people are always protected and always surrounded by other witches. It's never explained why she was just randomly alone in a caravan.
chilling,
In a
doing
carnival,
tarot,
in-
like
in-
what?
Just doing
In like
tarot, like
Ardalan's backyard.
it
Like,
is the most
quite
underrated
literally.
plot hole. Like nobody pays attention to it, but it seriously makes no sense. Like
What was she?
I'm
Was
wondering,
she on
like,
holiday? Was she
do you
undercover?
think she was maybe like, yeah, maybe like gathering intel? Or
Right,
like,
and- well,
do you
but
think
where's
that
her
she was
second?
there? Well,
Right?
we know.
Yeah.
Because maybe she was there under the ruse of the carnival so she could have meetings with the king. Because we know that there's an
No, we know
alliance there
that.
later.
We know she's
Mm.
there to talk to the king, but there's no reason that she should need to be
In the
exposed.
yeah.
And the other matrons would, and in fact, all the other Yellowlegs people, they would literally never expose themselves like that. Like
No.
it's really out of character for them.
It's a bit out of
as
pocket.
And you'd
yeah.
think
Yeah.
that she would have brought backup, but nah.
That's what I'm saying. To be alone, like if they were going to do it, they'd
Wild.
have, you know, their heir or whatever, like whoever's supposed to protect them.
So
Yeah.
she finds out about the word keys and she deciphers the riddle. So Anne knows where at least one of the word keys is. So she rushes down into the bowels of the castle, effectively into the tunnels, only to discover it's already gone. And Mort, bless his soul, the magical talking doorknob, confirms.
Also, I love him.
I love
like,
Mort.
Can we stop and discuss about how this is a thing now?
Mort is great.
Like,
There should be more magical talking doorknobs in this series. Why is Mort the only one? I know why he's the only one, but there needs to be more.
There should be more.
yeah.
More magical objects in general.
Yeah.
If we could go Beauty and the Beast, let's just do it, you know?
Let's have more sentient objects.
Please. I'd love a sentient, like, dagger or something. Like, and like, so-
that judges you.
yeah, and you're like, oh, you've stabbed someone. Again, do you mind? Like,
Your aim is shit. What's going on?
yeah.
This is totally
But
related,
he-
but it just hit me that because Akatar is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, that the entire reason, like, to have all of the Fae in the manor, like, disguising themselves as human, or to look more human, is literally, it's just an allegory because of the servants in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that before. That's a good point. Molly's like, yeah, bitches. I
Yeah.
know this.
Molly's like,
Yeah, babe.
duh.
Molly's
over here
like
having a
been there,
revelation
know
4
that
years later.
point.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad you connected the dots, guys.
Thanks. I didn't connect anything. Crimson connected the dots and told me. That's how I get most of my information these days.
Amazing.
Someone tells me it. I don't
I
get
love
this off
that.
the top of my head.
Sounds like kale.
Do not compare me to that fucker.
That's rude. That was brutal. Like,
I'm so sorry. I love you.
uncalled for.
Podcast
yeah.
is over. Goodbye.
But yeah, she goes and Mort's like, oh yeah, he like the king came down here and discovered that ages ago. Like, where have you been? And Slane's like, can you
her in the
that?
first place?
He is the
Yeah,
most
I also
cryptic
love-
asshole.
Yeah.
I love him. I think he's wonderful.
I mean, he's great, but literally could have been like, oh yeah, the thing you're looking for, it's not here anyway. Don't worry about
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you had to solve the riddle. You could have told her the answer to the fucking riddle.
Literally,
she
at
wouldn't
least
have had
make
to go
something
in-
a bit.
Kill Baba Yellowlegs in her fucking like chamber of reflection.
At least make something a bit
honestly.
straightforward for her.
Mm-hmm.
Her girl.
So she thinks that Nehemiah must have been researching this before she died and decides to hold a seance effectively and open a portal
Fuck, I forgot about this.
to speak to her dead
Decided to.
friend to get the
Ugh.
goss.
Yeah.
So she goes up to like the shittiest place possible to be opening a portal, the clock tower,
Mhm.
that she knows is sketchy. And you know, is shocked when Nehemiah comes through and is pissed at her for messing with portals and magic that she doesn't understand. Like, she gets this from a book that she finds in the library.
A book that's like magically following her around, by the way.
Yeah. So she opens this portal to talk to her dead friend, and Nehemiah's like, look, never do this again. This is the worst thing you could possibly do. Like, ever. And bear in mind that Nehemiah is being all rainbows and sunshine happy to see Fleetfoot, Selena's dog, but she's being such a bitch to Selena.
Yeah.
And Selena
can't.
just wants
I
to
can't.
apologize.
But also, literally, like, maybe she wouldn't need to open a portal if you would have told her anything.
Exactly.
You also like might not be dead.
And this
Yeah,
is
it's
where
basically Danica 1.0. Like,
100%. And it's where she reveals that basically this was her plan all along.
Yeah.
And it's during
she would
this,
be brutally murdered, and she was fine with it.
and she was going to do it because it would work out in the end. Like, bullshit. No.
She was going to do it specifically because, I mean, I think that's really important in case anyone hasn't read it. Like, her entire reasoning for letting herself get taken out, even though she has an entire country of people relying on her, is, well, this will spur Selena into action because she's the one who needs to do all the magic things to solve this.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, or you could have tried a conversation first. I don't know.
Nobody talks, and that's one of the problems.
The
But-
communication, like,
Exactly.
is not there.
And it's while Selena is like having this crisis talking to Nehemiah that Archer Finn decides to turn up. And and Selena's like, shit, okay, he is a problem. He's going to be a problem. So she decides flirting with him is the best way to go. And we find out that Archer is who is responsible for killing Nehemiah. And that Nehemiah was part of the rebel movement until about a week before her death. And she left because she disagreed with Archer's plans to kill the
Can
king,
we also
effectively.
Stop a second to remind everybody that Archer Finn's day job is to fuck high society men and women.
He's a hooker, he's
And
cool.
his job is to flirt, And yet, when Selena flirts with him, he doesn't see right through it. He's like, yeah, she wants me. Like,
she's using her womanly wiles and is like, oh, I had a crush on you as a child, and I'm still totally obsessed with you. Like, let's work together. Like, and you don't suspect anything? Like, really?
So actually, I think that makes a lot of sense because, I mean, we don't find this out till later, or if you've read Assassin's Blade, you might kind of know, but like Selena, as a teenager, was very openly kind of critical of the courtesans, even though she was like friends with them. And she was often pitted against them as far as like gaining favor with Arabin. And because he also spends a lot of time with courtesans and showering them with gifts and stuff. And so I think that I think it kind of makes sense because it's like she's known to not have a good relationship, like to not have a lot of respect for them, like in that sense. And so like you would almost think like she wouldn't do it, like she wouldn't flirt like that, but it's also a stupid thing to think.
I find it hilarious though. Like, she is just there off to the side with Archer, and she's like, we can work together, we can do this. He's like got the book, like the seance book in his hands, and all of a sudden the portal behind her that she's been talking to Nehemia with activates, and a whole other creature comes through.
Hey guys, like,
and then
plot in this book that I just forgot about.
And then Dorian and Kale walk in.
Yeah, they show up. Is it not because of Fleetfoot? It's just Fleetfoot, not like they hear Fleetfoot crying.
They hear
and
Fleetfoot.
then Kale realizes that there is a passageway that Selena hasn't access to.
Yeah.
And Kale thinks, oh shit, I should have checked behind that tapestry.
I should have checked behind the tapestry. And I'm just like, you are the captain of the guard. You supposedly checked her rooms and you didn't look behind a massive tapestry that was taking up like a massive swathe of wall with nothing in front of it. I am calling bullshit. You are the worst like traffic cop ever. What even are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
What's crazy is like that is 100% like super incompetence because he 100% did check those rooms and thought he did a good job because he was worried she was going to kill Dorian.
Yeah, they took everything out of her room.
He just didn't give a shit. It's not like he just didn't give a shit. It's like he's literally stupid.
She had to fashion weapons out of hairpins because they took everything else that could have been used in her room.
He didn't even have a letter opener.
No.
He didn't look behind.
He didn't look behind the tapestry.
Okay. Yeah.
So Dorian's there, Kale's there, Archer's there, the creature's there, the dog's there, and Archer books it with the book. Dorian is like, oh fuck shit, what do I do? And Fleetfoot runs into the portal, chasing after the creature to get it away. Fleetfoot is the OG here. So Kale chases the dog through the portal.
He wouldn't have done that for Selena, might I add.
But the dog, yes. So Kale runs through the portal. Aylin's like, shit, Kale's just run through this portal after my dog, after a creature. I'll go in too.
The only one who has any common sense and doesn't run into the portal is Dorian.
And Dorian's like the meme of John Travolta with his hands up to this side, wondering what's going on.
Yeah. He has no idea what's happening.
So
these two, like, the thing is, Kale often gets the one thing that people will say when you're like, I don't understand how anyone can like really like Dorian after book 2. They will be like, well, but Fleetfoot. And for me, I'm like, absolutely not. When there is a demon like coming out of a portal, I don't really want my husband to go after my dog.
No.
I would like for him to make sure I live.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
No one's like, shit, fuck, we need to close the portal. No, let's go get the dog.
Everyone's like, oh, the puppy!
Yeah, like, I mean, listen, y'all know, I love my cat so much. But if he chose that man. Like, I can't do anything about the cat choosing to live in another world.
No. So Selena walks through the portal into another world.
Da, 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 da.
Exactly. And she shifts.
Yep, immediately.
Shifts
'Cause there's
immediately.
magic in the other world that she
Yes.
has
Involuntarily, like,
access
can't
to.
even hold it back because she's
She involuntarily shifts into her true form, and she is Fae. She is one of the Fae, and it turns out that her human form, Selena, her human form is actually the animal shifted form, and she got stuck.
Yeah, if anyone
And-
doesn't know, all Fae in Throne of Glass is planet are they shift into animals. That's just like the nature of Fae in that world.
If they're like high Fae with a high enough percentage.
Yeah.
So she Sorry, Amazon. So
How
she
fucking
shifts.
useless, though. By the way, like if all Fae are like can go into animals, and she's like, you know,
Human.
you could go into a fly and like go through someone's window, or like a cat and become someone's pet to get intel. No, the only thing that changes about this poor bitch is her ears. And
To be
her, like,
fair,
limbs. Like,
it did work for her, because if she had got stuck in her Fae form with her ears and her fangs and her long limbs and looking like,
she would have been killed.
yeah, she would have been killed immediately. Kale sees her and freaks the fuck out.
in the portal land with the dog. Yeah.
He's holding the dog and he sees
This is a freak out
Selena,
for holding time, pal.
and he's like, oh,
I'm gonna have a breakdown.
Ugly cry
fuck.
in your shower. Hello.
And he's like, not only is she my enemy, she is also my enemy. Like, my double enemy. It's like enemy squared. And Selena's like, get the fuck back through the portal. I will deal with this. And is like, got her powers out.
Yep.
And she ends up saving his ass, getting back through the portal, shifts back into her human form, and Kale is just too stunned to speak.
Dorian's still wondering what the fuck's going on.
Dorian's still wondering what's going on.
He hasn't registered that they've gone through the portal.
No, Dorian has no fucking clue. And
by the way, I will say these books really annoyed me because for like multiple books, the whole thing is like we have to protect Dorian, and I'm like, he's the same age as you guys.
Yeah.
Give the guy a break. He's the only one of you with a brain. Just let him use it.
And bear in mind what Selena has just done. The first thing she does is look at her dog, checks to make sure her dog is alive, sees the book's gone, sees Archer's gone, and goes to Dorian, where is Archer? And he's like, oh, we booked it, mate. So she runs after him.
Yeah, well.
And then poor Dorian is just in this clock tower. The portal's shut, the dog's injured, the healer's there, Kale's there, and he's just like, I don't know how to deal with this. And Kale leaves Dorian in the clock tower.
Yep.
And chases after Selena.
So just like the one thing you're trying to protect, just leave him there.
The poor boy gets left behind at every freaking corner.
Yep.
And Kale chases Selena into the tunnels after Archer, and there is the moment near so it has like the river that takes all the sewage out to the main river that goes into the sea, and they're just standing there, and Archer has the book and Selena is talking to him, and I guess kind of like lulling him into a false sense of security. She's basically like, give me the book, leave, get out the city, never come back. And he starts talking about Nehemiah, and she loses her shit naturally, and she kills him.
Stabbed.
She kills him, and it's brutal because she has lost her friend. This guy is responsible. She has just revealed to the bloke that she, thinks she's in love with, that she is Fae, like the most hated race in the world. He did not take it well. she knows it, and now she's killing a man in front of him, and that is what takes Kale, that pushes Kale off the deep end.
And Kale is horrific to her, completely not understanding, and is just the biggest asshat of a human. And like, I don't understand how he came back from that, like, in anybody's mind. Especially because this is a tiny bit of a spoiler for later, but like, I'm not going to say exactly what happens when he encounters Selena again in later books, but when he does, it doesn't go well. Like, it's not like he's immediately sorry. It's like a whole thing. So it's just kind of like, how, I don't know, like, because for me, I've talked to a lot of people who are like, oh, but it makes total sense if you look at it from his perspective why he's upset. And I'm like, no, it couldn't be me.
He is vile. He is awful to her. And it continues on. So he decides to convince the king to send Selena to Wendelin. And it's under the guise, he says, oh, it's to protect her, but at the same time, his main goal is to protect Dorian. And to get,
she's a fae, she needs to leave.
Yeah, he's very anti-magic, like very like, she needs to get out of here, so that my best friend will be safe.
Yeah. And he's like, she's fae, so she must be part of the nobility. And he sees Selena now at Nehemiah's grave, and she's saying her goodbye, she's saying she's sorry, and she wants to see her before her friend gets taken back to Elway, to her home. And he overhears Selena singing a like funeral dirge, and he has no idea what it is. He's never heard it before. But he realizes that it's a song from Terrason. And he's like, oh, she must be from Terrason.
He's such an idiot. Yeah.
Even though he knows that she's from Terrason, and she knows that her family was killed.
She's mentioned this a fair
She's
few
talked
times
about it, and he's like, oh shit, she must be nobility. I wonder who she is. Let's go to the library. And he's like trying to convince the king to send Aelin to Wendelin to protect Dorian.
He figures it out, by the way. Like,
he doesn't
figure out on his own who she
he
is.
doesn't.
And it's right there in front
it's
of her.
right there.
In front of him,
he's so stupid. So he makes a deal with his father, who is visiting the Lord of Eniel. He makes a deal with his father, who he hates. He loathes the man. He's got daddy issues coming out the wazoo. To support him in the King's Council meeting, to send Selena to Wendelin. And his father agrees, with the catch being that if he does that, he has to give up his place on the King's Guard, and return to Aniel and once again take up the seat as heir, as Lord Westphal.
Oh no, you have to be Lord.
Oh no. But I think what stood out most during this meeting is they call in Selena. Selena's like, okay, but Dorian is completely blindsided.
Yeah.
He's sat there and he's like, what?
Literally nobody tells Dorian shit ever.
They didn't tell him a thing, and he's like, you can't send her away. Like, what are you doing? Like, she needs, like, we need to protect her. Because all he can think is, this is my friend.
Yeah.
This is my friend. Like, they've come to the point now where, you know, Selena in the last book, at the end of the last book, said that they shouldn't be together because he's Prince, and he struggled with that for a bit, but at the end, towards the end of Crown of Midnight, they kind of have a heart to heart, and they talk about how much the other means to them. And there's a couple of moments where they have like meetings, and Selena goes to Dorian's bedroom and they're hanging out, and like it's kind of like old times again. And I feel like they both obviously have a lot in common. They both feel kind of like a kinship to the other. And Dorian is heartbroken that Kale is wanting to send her away.
Yeah.
It's like, you love her, and you want to send her away. And meanwhile, Kale
Not
is
that
like,
that was a good thing, was it?
no. And Kale is just like, it's for you, it's for the best, it's for your protection. Fuck off, mate. Like, so much fuck him. And yeah, it's the end of the book, and he can't even figure out what's going on. And it takes her telling him something for him to figure it out. She quite literally has to give him all of the pieces. So they're on the docks, and they are saying goodbye before her ship sails to Wendelin. And she tells him everything. She tells him about the word keys, the creature that she and Dorian killed in the tomb beneath the library, and how the king has this elaborate plan that she doesn't fully understand yet. And he is shook. He doesn't believe that the king could do such a thing, at least not under the noses of everyone else.
With everything that's happened in the past 2 books, he's like, the king is a baddie?
Can't be. And then she tells him a riddle about the last truth, and he does figure it out, but it literally takes him to the very last line in the book.
Yeah.
And that is that Selena is the lost princess of Terrasen. She is Aelin Galathinius Ashrover. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, because I obviously read these much later than you guys did. I read them after they had been out a long time, and I will say almost everything in these books that is surprising was spoiled for me, with the exception of this. But I had figured it out, like, kind of, I don't know, like 5 chapters into Throne of Glass. Like, I immediately was like, okay, everybody talks about Aelin. They're talking about this girl Aelin. Aelin is nowhere to be found. It's obviously this chick who is, you know,
who was an orphan.
Identity. She's an orphan. Blah blah blah. Like, it just became more and more obvious. Like, it was like, yeah, immediately she's Aelin. And then I, like, especially in Crown of Midnight when she's having the flashbacks and all this stuff. So to me, I was like, oh, like, this is not, like, this is a big reveal, but it's supposed to be like a, I knew it moment. But I now know that many people were incredibly shocked by this twist.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is, were you two shocked by the twist?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
I had figured it out very early on in Throne of Glass. I knew that who she was, and I find it so shocking that people didn't know who she was, because it is so obvious. It's so obvious.
So obvious. Like, the thing is like, I think it's one of the reasons I really didn't like Throne of Glass is because they don't get anywhere near it in the book, and like I just was sitting there the whole time like, I'm so bored, just tell me that she's the princess.
Yeah.
And then the same thing was kind of happening in Crown of Midnight. Like, it really picks up in the second half, but I was like, are we ever gonna just like reveal it? Like, come on.
So I mean, I've had a couple of friends read it and they haven't known until that moment, and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like, they're like, "Oh, when do we meet Aelin?" Because like they talk about her all the time, and I know she's in the future books, and I'm like, but a lot of my friends that have read them that are like that aren't like big fantasy readers, or they aren't like romantasy readers, or they've maybe read like romance books prior and they've stepped into this as a first go. And I'm like, if you don't have the brain that's going to click the dots together, then they're not going to click together. But unfortunately for us,
we are all very much like Charlie in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, with the massive board with all of like the string.
Always.
And we send
like,
each
there's
other
not
into it as
anything
well.
now. Like, also being massive Taylor Swift fans,
No.
Molly and I are always looking for things that aren't there.
Yeah.
The thing is but it's not even, it's like, there are a lot of twists in books, like the twist in ACOTAR, that I'm like, okay, like, I saw that a twist was coming, but I get how people could easily not see that the twist was coming. This one just felt like in your face.
Oh yeah.
At least half of Crown of Midnight. Like, I can understand if you didn't see it right away. Especially if you go in totally blind, like if you've never heard anything about the series. Like, to me, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do the math
It's
in my head.
more like when
I've got
it's
a
like
character with a
revealed
secret
at the
identity, and then
end.
there's one person everybody's looking for. Like, okay, but I can get that. But in Crown of Midnight, it's like everybody is constantly talking about like the secret Aelin princess
Yeah.
and whether or not she's alive, and she can't be alive, but maybe she could
Yeah.
be alive. And then Aelin herself is like, she's alive, and it's like, okay, like, guys, she basically told you. She basically told you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Remember
it's wild to
waking up
me.
in a bed full of blood.
Blood.
Like, you thought she was just a person?
No. No way.
Come on.
I think it's one of those things as well as like at the end of Crown of Midnight, this reveal, to me, it's not supposed to be a reveal to the readers. It's supposed to be a reveal to Chaol, and like where it's not really supposed to be like, oh guys, guess who she is. It's a Chaol, you fucked up. Look who you are. Like,
and you
sent
her to
like,
Wendelin. You sent her, like, I think it's hilarious because he realized
her cousins or something, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a line. He's like, I've just sent her,
it's her
the king's assassin, who isn't actually working for the king, to the place where she can find the most allegiances and the most help. He's like, I just fucked up. Like, I've really screwed up here.
Place where there's still magic in the way that we know it. Like, like. And of course, at this point, we don't know anything about what Wendelin's like or what the Fae there are like. So as far as we know, they're allies. So it's like he's literally just sent her into the arms of the enemy.
Yeah.
It's also,
but like, you think he'd know that anyway, because he knows that she's Fae.
That's what I'm saying. He knows she's Fae, and he's like, let me just
even if he doesn't know who she is, but you're gonna send her to the Fae when you just found out that she's Fae.
She has all of this deep intel, supposedly, about
it's funny because he comes up with, like, there's a moment when he's like looking through the nobility and he's like, the closest person that he can equate her with is a lead. He's like, maybe she's Lady Marion's daughter. No, she's not a lead.
No. She's got a working foot for one, but
that, and then we find out that he knows and he's met Adian, who looks exactly like her. He looks exactly like her.
Yes. When we meet Adian later and they comment on how much like her Adian looks and how they have the exact same eyes and all the crap, I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you guys been knowing this guy for years. You guys have drank with this guy, hung out with this guy. Like, you've spent time with this man, and supposedly they have very similar personalities too. Like,
sir. Not just that, but Dorian has met Aelin. Dorian met her as a child.
They met each other.
And Adian. And I'm just like, are you okay, babe? I know you've been through a lot, but she looks the same.
This is the place where I have like the funniest time with people who believe that SJM is like this like mastermind god always, and that she didn't have to grow into that, because it's like, either there are plot holes or you admit that these characters are actual idiots. Like, there's no...
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah. Like, it can't be both, babe. Like, I mean, it can be both, but it cannot be neither. Like,
So what would we rate? What would we rate this read out of 5? Crown of Midnight, where does it score for you guys?
I'll let you guys go first, because I probably am the hater.
Emmy?
I'm gonna go 4. So, like, the first 50% of the books are 3. And this is weird for me, because Throne of Glass is a 5-star read. Air of Fire that's coming up, 5-star read. Queen of Shadows, 5-star read. Like, I love all of them. Tower of Dawn was a 3, I think. That's just, you know, that's just because
too much of Lettuce Head. Yep.
But this one, I feel like, until like we're speaking about it, I forget all of the stuff that happens in this book, and I forget that there are actually quite a few major plot points. But I never enjoy Crown of Midnight and never remember it as much as everything else. Because it's everything starts to be pushed off the cliff, but Air of Fire is where everything like starts progressing after being pushed off the cliff. I mean, I would say 4-star for me for this one.
I would also say 4. I really enjoyed Crown of
Mhm.
Fire. Crown of Fire? No, Crown of Midnight.
What's
That
this
book I would
mysterious
love.
book?
Interesting. It's like every book is named Crown of. No. Um Crown of Midnight is definitely a 4 for me. I really enjoyed it, especially the second half. I think there's a lot of things that get revealed and it really sets up Heir of Fire spectacularly. So 4 for me.
Crimson.
I'm a 3. So I give Crown of Midnight points for the fact that like it is a short book for how much
Yeah.
happens in it. It is written really well. It is written really tight. Um I don't think there's very much in it that could have been like taken out and that would have been service to the story. Like it's pretty well crafted. However, the first half of it I was bored until we get to part 2. I was just like
Mm-hmm.
dying until once Kayla's kidnapped and things get moving. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I got really into it, but I really was bored the first half. And I also do think like I truly do believe that the first 2 books are complete, and also what
Yeah.
was being set up in Assassin's Blade, they're a completely different story
Mhm.
than what's about to happen, starting with Heir of Fire. What like is being led up to, like, it's not really what we get. And I do think that Sarah is genius in the way that like later she's gonna pull on some of the threads that she leaves herself in these
Yeah.
2 books so that it seems very like cohesive. But as I was reading it for the first time, I was like, what the fuck are people talking about? Like, this is like
Yeah.
not like it's a totally different, not lighter, but just very like different kind of story. It doesn't feel as massive as it's going to become.
Mhm.
It's not even giving you that inkling, I don't think. But I did enjoy pieces of it. I really didn't love the romance with Kale.
Too much kale.
It was so rushed. Like, even
Mm.
before I began to really dislike him, I felt like their romance was really rushed compared to her romance with Dorian.
It
It
takes
didn't
place
feel
in a week.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me that she spent so much time with Dorian, like really truly falling for Dorian, and then did nothing but kiss him and then broke it off with him, only to jump straight into bed for the first time
Yeah.
ever with this other guy who she doesn't ever vibe with in the exact same way that she vibed with
Mhm.
Dorian. Like, they just don't have as much in common. So it didn't hit for me in that sense. And then in the sense of like fantasy, I was really kind of frustrated with how we were just giving crumbs, like,
Mm.
for the lore. Like, it was like, I don't know if we were supposed to know when this came out, like, how big this series was going to be, but for me, it was like, I feel like you told me a lot of things, but also gave me no answers. Like, none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't love that. And I also was annoyed with Nehemia while she was alive, and then was more annoyed with
We're
her when
annoyed
she
with
was
her.
dead.
Yep.
And then with Kale, I was really mad at Kale. But I did enjoy the action scenes, and I enjoyed Dorian because Dorian's a delight the whole time.
Yes.
And I do love Selena slash Aelin. So like I loved her even when she was frustrating me.
Mm.
So it's a solid 3. Like, if it were
Amazing.
not part of a bigger series, I would not really recommend it. But it
Mm.
is part of a bigger series that I would wholeheartedly recommend. But this one didn't. It's only 3.
Okay. Well, just before we leave then, what are your reading plans for the next week? Crimson, what are you reading this week? What are you not reading this week?
I think you know what I'm not reading this week.
She's gonna take her out, get her some sunlight, fresh air.
No, so we have friends coming into town Thursday night. So I have a couple things going on this week at work. I have a team building which will take up all of my time for about 48 hours because we do dinners and stuff during these things. And then I also have friends coming in on Thursday and staying until Monday night. So there will be a huge part of the week where I can't do any reading. So my plan is to smash through as much of SJ's 2 books as I can, which actually, like, I think I'm way more in the right mindset this time around of going into them because I'm having a pretty good time so far. So that's the plan, is just those 2 books. If I get done with those, to be honest, I probably, in lieu of Iron Flame, might do some Allie Hazelwood. I'm like not in a like super fantasy mood at the moment.
Fair.
Yeah, that's me. What about you and me?
I think I want to finish Keeping 13 because I started it last night. I'm like 100 pages in. It's another heifer of a book. It's thick.
She's
But I'm really
chunky.
enjoying it, and I feel like I'm really in the mood for it. And then I should probably get on the Air of Fire read
Mhm.
and read yesterday's books because I haven't even looked at them yet.
Amazing.
What about you, Molly?
I am going to finish Air of Fire this afternoon. I am going to read Check and Mate, which is the last book by Ellie Hazelwood, which I have yet to read, as well as Galliant by V.E. Schwab. And then obviously I will also start Queen of Shadows because that starts this week. I'm very excited.
That's exciting.
Mhm.
Well,
Wonderful.
all
Well,
right.
any last minute thoughts?
Fuck Kale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you know I think about him so much more now because in my mind he is forever the leaf emoji, like the
Yeah.
kale, like the leaf lettuce emoji.
Yeah.
And dinosaur time is all over my TikTok feed. So every time someone's just ripping into a like giant thing of lettuce,
Yeah.
sometimes kale, I'm like, kale.
okay.
So
Amazing.
man haunts me.
If anyone has enjoyed this episode, please tune in for the next one. These are kind of counted like these Third of Glass episodes. We're going to do the entire Maasverse. It's going to probably stem into next year with how we're releasing them every couple of weeks. If it's not your thing, don't worry because we're still releasing our normal episodes, usually 2 in between each one. So hopefully you'll find something with us that you like, even if you don't want to continue listening to these Throne of Glass episodes. But please do because we're having a good time. And if you're looking for our read along schedule, you can check all of our socials, or you're just looking for our socials. They're all linked below anyway. But I will speak to you guys in another episode.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye.